She cried, "Please take my baby." The cold millionaire froze until he saw her eyes and heard the truth. But before we dive into the full story, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is now. Subscribe to the channel and let's get started. Rain lashed the city, a gray curtain blurring neon signs and streetlights. Alexander Vance gripped the wheel of his sleek SUV, the hum of the engine a steady pulse beneath the storm's roar. His phone buzzed. Another deal closed, another million gained. His gray eyes flicked to the screen, then back to the road, cold and focused. Success was his armor, forged in the ache of a boy who'd watched his mother fade in a hospital bed, pennies short of salvation. A figure stumbled into view on the sidewalk, a woman clutching a small bundle. Alex's jaw tightened. He had no time for strays, no patience for the world's endless need. But the bundle twitched, a child, limbs jerking in a way that clawed at a buried memory, his mother's frail hands trembling, reaching for him. He slammed the brakes. Sarah Jenkins swayed in the downpour, her chestnut hair plastered to her face, brown eyes wild with fear. Noah, her 2-year-old, seized in her arms, his epilepsy gripping him, his tiny body rigid, then limp, then rigid again. "Please," she whispered to the empty street, voice swallowed by the rain. Her sneakers were soaked, her thin jacket useless. She'd lost her job, her insurance, her hope. Now Noah, her only light, was slipping away. Alex stepped out, rain soaking his tailored suit in seconds. "Get in," he barked, voice sharp but not unkind. Sarah froze, clutching Noah tighter. A stranger in a gleaming car. Her instincts screamed danger. But Noah's gasps were shallow, his lips tinged blue. Her stomach twisted. Vance, the name that had haunted her mailbox, now her savior. She bit her lip, Noah's gasp louder than her rage, and nodded, scrambling into the back seat, her trembling hands cradling her son. The SUV roared toward the hospital, wipers slashing through the deluge. "What's wrong with him?" Alex asked, eyes on the road, voice clipped. "Epilepsy," Sarah said, her words unsteady. "He needs medicine. I can't afford it." Her voice cracked, but she bit her lip, refusing tears. Noah's small hand twitched in hers and she whispered, "Hold on, baby." Alex's grip on the wheel tightened. "Can't afford it." The words were a knife, slicing open a wound he'd buried under boardrooms and bank accounts. He didn't look at her, didn't trust himself to. "We're almost there," he said, quieter now. Sarah glanced at him, her gaze catching the sharp line of his jaw, the tension in his shoulders. She knew that face, flashed across news feeds, the billionaire who'd gutted her company, left her jobless. Alexander Vance. Her anger flared, but she said nothing. Noah's shallow breaths were all that mattered. The hospital loomed ahead, white lights cutting through the storm. Alex screeched to a stop at the ER entrance. "Go," he said, already out, holding the door. Sarah stumbled from the car, Noah limp in her arms. Nurses rushed forward, a stretcher materializing. "Epilepsy, 2 years old," Sarah choked out, following them inside. Alex stood in the rain, watching the glass doors swallow them. He should leave. He had calls to make, deals to seal. But his feet stayed rooted, water streaming down his face. That boy's twitching hands, Sarah's desperate eyes. They were his past, staring back. His mother's voice, faint and pleading, echoed in his skull. "Don't let it happen again." Inside, Sarah clung to Noah's hand as doctors worked, a soft hum of machines pulsing, voices calm but urgent. Her heart pounded, but a strange calm settled over her. The man who'd driven them, Vance of all people, had no reason to help, yet he had. She glanced toward the doors, expecting him gone, but there he was, soaked, pacing the waiting room, his sharp eyes scanning the chaos. Their gazes met through the glass, a fleeting connection, fragile as a reed in the wind. Sarah's lips parted, gratitude barbed with the layoffs sting. She knew him, knew the ruin he'd wrought in her life, but in that moment, with Noah's hand in hers, she saw something else. A shadow in his eyes, a secret heavier than her own, like a lantern flickering in the dark. Cold light spilled, stark and unyielding, over the hospital waiting room. Sarah Jenkins sat on a plastic chair, her hands clasped tight, Noah's small jacket draped across her lap. He was stable now, the doctor said, his epilepsy quieted by medicine, hooked to monitors in the pediatric ward. Her brown eyes, red-rimmed, stared at the floor, tracing cracks in the linoleum. Relief battled exhaustion, but beneath it, a gnawing ache. Her job gone, her savings drained, and Noah's treatment still a question mark. Her relief battled the layoff sting. Across the room, Alexander Vance leaned against a wall, his soaked suit clinging to his frame. His phone vibrated. Missed calls, urgent emails, a reminder of a charity he funded, a hollow gesture he barely recalled. But he silenced it, gray eyes fixed on the ward's double doors. He shouldn't be here. He'd done enough, hadn't he? Driven them through the storm, gotten the kid help, yet his feet wouldn't move. Sarah's voice, raw and desperate in the car, echoed in his head. Can't afford it. His mother's bedside, her fading voice, haunted him still. He shoved the memory down, jaw clenching. A nurse approached Sarah. You can see him now. Sarah shot up, clutching Noah's jacket, and hurried through the doors. Alex watched her go, his fingers twitching, then followed, uninvited but drawn, like a moth to a faint flame. In the ward, Noah lay small in a too-big bed, wires snaking from his chest. His breathing was steady, his face soft in sleep. Sarah's hand trembled as she touched his cheek, whispering, I'm here, baby. Her shoulders sagged, the weight of the night crashing down. She'd almost lost him. Again. Her mother's voice, long gone, flickered in her mind. You're stronger than you know. But strength felt like a lie when the world kept breaking her. Alex lingered at the door, his shadow falling across the floor. Sarah sensed him, her back stiffening. She turned, meeting his gaze. You're still here, she said, voice low, not quite a question. Didn't feel right to leave, Alex said, words clipped. He stepped closer, hands in pockets, eyes on Noah. He's tough. Sarah nodded, throat tight. He has to be. Her fingers brushed Noah's hair, then stilled. She wanted to thank him, to spill the gratitude clogging her chest, but the truth stopped her. His name, his company, the layoff that had stripped her life bare. She bit her lip, silence heavy between them. Alex shifted, uneasy. Her quiet stirred something, a memory of his mother's bedside, her labored breaths filling a room too small for hope. You remind me of someone, well, he said almost to himself. His voice caught, and he cleared his throat, looking away. Someone who fought like you. Sarah's eyes flicked to him, searching his face. The sharp billionaire from the news was there, but so was something else. A flicker of pain, raw and unguarded. It softened her, just a fraction. Who? She asked, barely a whisper. He didn't answer, his gaze distant, lost in a hospital room 2 decades gone. His mother's hand slipping from his. The shame of being helpless. He blinked, refocusing on Sarah. Doesn't matter, he said, sharper than he meant. She frowned, her gratitude souring. His walls were up, and she knew why. Men like him, powerful, untouchable, didn't linger in places like this unless they wanted something. Yet he'd helped her, no questions asked. Her fingers tightened on Noah's jacket. Her relief battled the layoff sting. A doctor entered, clipboard in hand. Ms. Jenkins, we need to discuss treatment costs. Sarah's stomach dropped, her face paling. Alex stepped forward before she could speak. I'll cover it, he said, voice firm, eyes on the doctor. Whatever he needs. Sarah's head snapped up, shock mingling with suspicion. Why? She asked, voice sharp now. You don't know us. Alex met her gaze, his own unsteady. I know enough, he said, the words heavy with a past he wouldn't name. He turned to the doctor. Get it done. The doctor nodded and left. Sarah stared at Alex, her heart a tangle of relief and resentment. She wanted to speak, to demand why a man who'd ruined her life was saving her sons. The words rose, sharp and burning. You took my job. You broke us. But they stuck, caught in the sight of Noah's chest rising and falling, safe for now. She looked away, her silence louder than any accusation. Alex saw it, the shadow in her eyes, and felt a pang he couldn't place. She knew something, held something back, like a song she wouldn't sing. He stepped back, the weight of her gaze too much, and slipped into the hall, the hum of the hospital swallowing the truth neither could yet voice. The hospital ward hummed with quiet urgency, a soft pulse of machines, nurses' shoes squeaking on polished floors. Sarah Jenkins sat by Noah's bedside, her hand resting on his small one, his fingers curled in sleep. The sterile air stung her nose, but Noah's steady breaths anchored her. His epilepsy was held at bay, for now. Her brown eyes, shadowed with fatigue, flicked to the IV dripping medicine she couldn't have afforded. Alex Vance's money had bought this moment, and the thought twisted her gut. Her thank you stuck, barbed with the layoff sting. Across the city, Alex strode through his glass-walled office, phone pressed to his ear, voice sharp. Close the deal by tonight, he snapped, gray eyes scanning the skyline. His suit was crisp again, the rain-soaked night and memory he pushed aside. But Sarah's face, fierce, fragile, kept surfacing, her voice echoing his mother's quiet strength. He hung up, fingers tapping his desk, restless. He'd paid for Noah's treatment, done his part. So why was he still checking his phone for hospital updates? Sarah shifted in her chair, Noah's jacket folded neatly beside her. A newspaper lay on a nearby table, its headline screaming, "Billionaire, Vance saves single mom in storm." Her stomach churned. The headline mocked her silence. She knew him, not as a hero, but as the man who'd signed her ruin. The story painted Alex as a saint, her as a damsel, hinting at a spark between them. If the world knew her layoff tied to Vance Capital, this fairy tale would sour fast. She stood, pacing the small room, her hands clenching. She'd seen the layoff memo, buried in her email, a cold directive from Vance's firm, slashing her department to streamline profits. Her coworkers' faces, stunned and tearful, flashed in her mind. She'd been one of them, discarded. Yet here he was, playing savior. Her jaw tightened. She needed answers, not headlines. Alex arrived at the hospital an hour later, a paper bag in hand, soup and a sandwich, an impulse buy for Sarah. He found her in the hall, her arms crossed, eyes sharp. "You saw the news," he said, reading her stance. His voice was low, guarded. "Hard to miss," Sarah shot back, her tone clipped. "They think you're a saint or something else." She gestured at the bag. "What's that?" "For you," he said, setting it on a chair. "You haven't eaten." His eyes searched hers, catching the edge in her gaze. She wasn't just tired, she was angry. Sarah's lips pressed thin. His kindness grated, each gesture a reminder of what he'd taken. "Why are you doing this?" she asked, voice low but piercing. "Paying for Noah, bringing food. Why?" Alex stiffened, her tone slicing through his defenses. "You needed help," he said, sharper than he meant. "I was there." "Convenient," she muttered, eyes narrowing. She stepped closer, voice dropping. "You don't know what it's like, do you? Losing everything, fighting for scraps." His jaw clenched, a flash of his mother's hospital bed, her hands slipping from his, cutting through him. "You'd be surprised," he said, voice tight. He turned away, fingers twitching, hating how her words stripped him bare. Sarah watched him, her anger faltering. His eyes held something raw, a crack in his polished armor. She'd seen that look before. Her mother, worn down but unbowed, fighting for her. Her throat tightened. "You don't get to play hero," she said, softer now. "Not when you're the one who broke us." Alex froze, her words a jolt. "Broke you?" he asked, turning back, eyes sharp. "What are you talking about?" She hesitated, the truth teetering on her tongue. "Your company, your layoffs, my life." But Noah's soft cough from the room stopped her. She couldn't risk this. Not now. "You don't know me," she said finally, voice barely a whisper. "But I know what you've done." He stepped closer, voice low. "No, say it." His gaze pinned her, searching, like he'd seen her soul in that rain-soaked car and couldn't let go. Sarah's eyes met his, and for a moment, she saw not the billionaire, but a man haunted, his strength a mask for something broken. Her mother's voice whispered, "See the heart, not the hurt." Noah stirred, murmuring in his sleep, and her resolve softened. She couldn't hate him. Not entirely. Not when he'd saved her son. Her words hung between them, heavy with unspoken truth, like a star flickering into view. Alex's breath caught, her gaze reshaping her in his mind. Not just a mother, but a woman whose fight mirrored his mother's, fierce and unbroken, a light he hadn't seen in years. Morning light filtered through the hospital blinds, casting soft stripes across Noah's bed. Sarah Jenkins sat vigil, her brown eyes tracing her son's sleeping face, his small chest rising steadily. Machines whispered, a steady rhythm she clung to. Her heart churned. She'd taken Alex Vance's offer, temporary work at his foundation for families in crisis, out of desperation, not trust. Each paycheck secured Noah's anticonvulsants, though dosage tweaks loomed, a lifeline she clung to. The truth of her layoff, tied to Vance Capital, festered like a hidden thorn. Her silence about his role gnawed, a truth she buried for Noah's sake. She smoothed Noah's hair, her steady voice soothing him. Her gratitude clashed with the layoff's shadow. Across town, Alex paced his penthouse, the city sprawling below like a chessboard he'd mastered. His gray eyes, usually sharp, were clouded. Sarah's words, "I know what you've done," looping in his head. She'd seen through him, past the billionaire to the boy who'd failed his mother. His phone buzzed, deals demanding attention, but he ignored it. Her face, fierce in the hospital's harsh light, haunted him. She wasn't just a stranger. She was a mirror, reflecting a pain he'd buried under wealth. He drove to the hospital, a decision made before he could question it. In the ward, Sarah looked up, startled. As he appeared at the door, a navy coat draped over his arm. "You left this," he said, voice low, holding out her worn jacket. His fingers brushed hers, brief but electric, and her breath caught. "Thanks," Sarah said, voice clipped, setting the jacket aside. Her eyes searched his, wary but curious. "You keep coming back." Alex shifted, hands in pockets, his usual control fraying. "Kid's tough," he said, nodding at Noah. "Like his mom." The words slipped out, softer than he meant, and Sarah's gaze flickered, softening for a heartbeat. She stood, crossing her arms. "Don't," she said, voice sharp. "Don't act like you know us." Her anger flared, fueled by the layoff, the headlines, the weight of his presence. Yet his eyes, haunted, unguarded, tugged at her, echoing her mother's stubborn fight. Alex's jaw tightened, her tone a blade. "I'm not pretending," he said, stepping closer. "I see you fighting. It's enough." His voice cracked. A nurse's gentle tone echoed his mother's care, stirring guilt. He looked away, fingers twitching. Sarah's resolve wavered. His pain was real, not the polished act of a billionaire. She wanted to lash out, to spill the truth. "Your layoffs broke me." But Noah's soft breathing held her back. Instead, she reached for her jacket, fingers brushing a folded note she'd tucked inside. An impulse seized her. "Wait," she said, pulling it out. She handed him the note, her handwriting small but steady. "Thank you. My mom used to say kindness costs nothing but means everything. You reminded me of her." She wrote of her mother's kindness, a truth she clung to despite his company's cruelty. Her cheeks flushed, but she held his gaze, vulnerable yet defiant. Alex read it, his throat tightening. His mother's voice whispered, "Be good, Alex," from a time before money replaced mercy. "Your mom," he said, voice rough. "She sounds like mine." He folded the note, slipping it into his pocket, a gesture heavier than he could name. Sarah watched him, her heart a tangle. The note was a bridge, fragile but real, tying her gratitude to her grief. She wanted to hate him, but his quiet admission, "like mine," shifted something. He wasn't just the man who'd ruined her. He was broken too. "I've got a foundation," Alex said suddenly, words rushed. "For families in crisis, a quiet atonement I haven't earned. It funded a small clinic, a step you could shape. I could use someone with your grit. Temporary work, if you want it." His eyes met hers, earnest, a step toward amends he didn't fully understand. Sarah's breath hitched. A job, stability, hope. But from him? Her layoff memo flashed, cold and corporate, his will behind it. "Why me?" she asked, voice low, searching for a trap. "You're a fighter," he said simply, his gaze steady. "I respect that." His mother's face flickered, her strength, her sacrifice, and he saw it in Sarah, a chance to right a wrong he'd carried too long. She hesitated, the offer a lifeline laced with poison. "I'll think about it," she said, voice tight, turning back to Noah. Her fingers trembled, the note's weight lingering. Her mother's kindness had guided her pen, but it had also bound her to Alex, their pasts entwined in ways she couldn't yet see. Alex nodded, stepping back, the note burning in his pocket. Her words, her strength, echoed his mother's, a thread he hadn't known he needed. As he left, her jacket still warm in his mind, he felt a shift. Not redemption, but a crack in his armor, letting in a light he'd forgotten. Sarah's note, simple and true, had woven their griefs together, a quiet knot neither could yet untangle. Sunlight spilled through the hospital window, warming Noah's small hand in Sarah Jenkins' grip. His giggles, rare and precious, filled the room as he clutched a stuffed bear, a gift from a nurse. Sarah's brown eyes softened, but her heart raced. She'd taken Alex Vance's offer, temporary work at his foundation for families in crisis, out of desperation, not trust. Each paycheck bought Noah's anticonvulsants, a fragile shield for his epilepsy. But the truth of her layoff, tied to Vance Capital, festered like a hidden thorn. Her silence about the layoff weighed heavier each day, a secret eroding her strength. She smoothed Noah's hair, her steady voice soothing him, hiding the storm inside. Across the city, Alex sat in his office, glass walls reflecting the skyline's sharp edges. His gray eyes scanned reports, but his mind drifted to Sarah, her note, her strength, her guarded gaze. The foundation's work, once a tax write-off, now felt personal. Her presence there, quiet but fierce, stirred a boy's laugh from his past. His mother's joy were reborn. He tapped his pen, restless, then grabbed his coat. He needed to see her to know she was real. At the foundation's modest office, Sarah sorted files, her movements precise despite sleepless nights. She drafted a grant for single mothers, her pen steady, extending aid to struggling families. Alex's offer gnawed at her. Why her? Why now? The layoff memo, cold and final, flashed in her mind. Vance Capital's ruthlessness, her life upended. Her jaw tightened, fingers pausing over the keyboard. Alex arrived, his tailored suit out of place among the cluttered desks. Sarah, he said, voice low, drawing her eyes. Got a minute? She nodded, wary, and followed him to a quiet corner, her arms crossed, shielding the truth she hadn't voiced. You're good at this, he said, gesturing to the files. Organized, sharp. Ever think about more than temp work? His tone was casual, but his eyes searched hers, seeking something. Trust maybe, or absolution. Sarah's lips pressed thin. I think about keeping Noah alive, she said in voice sharp. This job helps. That's enough. She wanted to trust him, but his offer felt like a debt, not a gift. Her words cut, but her gaze faltered, caught by the flicker of pain in his eyes, the same shadow she'd seen in the hospital. Alex nodded, hands in pockets, his usual control slipping. Fair, he said softer. Just, you remind me of someone who never gave up. A boy's laugh from his past echoed, his mother's fight, and he looked away, throat tight. Sarah's heart twitched. His sincerity, raw and unguarded, echoed her mother's lessons. See the heart, not the hurt. But the layoff's sting held her back. You don't know me, she said quieter now, but I'm learning you. Her voice carried a weight, a hint of the truth she hadn't dared speak. Before he could reply, a call came. Noah's epilepsy had flared, a sudden fever spiking. Sarah's face paled, her phone trembling in her hand. I have to go, she said, already moving, fear clawing her chest. I'll drive, Alex said. No hesitation, his voice firm. She didn't argue, her focus on Noah. The car sped through the city, traffic a blur, silence heavy between them. Sarah clutched her bag, nails digging into her palms, praying her son would hold on. At the hospital, Noah lay flushed. Machines pulsed faintly. Urgent. Sarah rushed to his side, whispering, I'm here, baby. Her hand found his, her strength a dam against panic. Alex stood at the door, his presence steady, unexpected. He's a fighter, he said, voice low, echoing words from their first night. Sarah glanced at him, her doubt softening. Why are you here? She asked, voice barely a whisper, raw with fear and need. Because I couldn't not be, Alex said, his eyes meeting hers, unguarded. His mother's death, the helplessness, it all surged, tying him to this moment, to her. You don't have to do this alone. Her breath caught, his words a crack in her walls. She wanted to believe him, but the layoff's shadow loomed. Noah stirred, murmuring, and her focus snapped back, her heart tethered to her son. The doctor arrived, reassuring. Medication was working, the fever easing. Sarah exhaled, relief flooding her, but the rift inside widened. Alex's kindness was real, but so was her pain. As Noah stabilized, Sarah sat, exhausted, her silence heavy. She'd held back the truth. You broke us. And it had sealed her own gratitude, kept Noah safe. But it also carved a deeper wound, not just against Alex, but the world that had left her and Noah so fragile. Alex watched her, the note in his pocket a quiet weight, her strength reshaping his view. She wasn't just fighting for Noah. She was fighting a world he'd helped break. And that truth, unspoken, rippled through him like a stone in a still pond. Sterile light flickered, casting long shadows in the hospital's pediatric ward hallway. Sarah Jenkins stood rigid, her brown eyes blazing, hands clenched at her sides. Noah slept in his room, his epilepsy quieted for now, his small form a fragile anchor. But the newspaper clutched in her fist, its headline screaming, Vance's secret romance with single mom, ignited a fury she could no longer contain. Reporters' scrutiny shadowed her work, fueling her suppressed rage. The media had twisted their story, her desperation, into a tawdry lie. Worse, it buried the truth she'd held back. Vance Capital had orchestrated her layoff, stripping her life bare. She paced, her fingers crumpling the paper, resolve hardening like stone. Alex strode through the hospital doors, his tailored coat heavy under dusk's soft glow. His gray eyes, usually sharp, were clouded, the media's lies gnawing at him. The romance story painted him as a playboy, Sarah as an opportunist, and it stung more than he expected. Her note, kindness cost nothing, burned in his pocket, a reminder of her strength, her pain. He'd come to check on Noah, but Sarah's figure in the hall stopped him cold. Her gaze, fierce and unyielding, pinned him where he stood. "You saw it," Alex said, voice low, nodding at the crumpled paper. He stepped closer, hands in pockets, bracing for her anger. Sarah's jaw tightened, her voice a blade. "They think I'm your charity case. Or worse." She tossed the paper at his feet, its ink smearing on the linoleum. "But that's not what this is it? You're not just some hero who showed up in the rain." Alex's eyes narrowed, her tone cutting through his defenses. "What are you saying, Mom?" he asked, voice steady but tight. Her anger was a mirror, reflecting a truth he hadn't faced. Sarah stepped forward, her voice dropping, trembling with years of held-back pain. "I know what you did. Vance Capital. You bought my company, gutted it. My job, my life gone. Because of you." Her words were a flood, breaking a dam she'd built around her heart. "I was one of the efficiencies you cut. Me and Noah, we paid for your profits." Alex froze, her words a punch to his gut. The layoff, faceless numbers on a spreadsheet, a decision he'd signed off on without a second thought. His mind raced, piecing together her guarded glances, her silences. "You knew," he said, voice rough, "that night in the rain. You knew who I was." "Every second," Sarah said, eyes wet but unyielding. "I wanted to scream it, but Noah was dying. I needed you." Her voice cracked, raw with shame and fury. "And you let me beg, let me thank you, while you stood there knowing you broke us." Alex's hands trembled, a hospital's sterile scent, his mother's final days, cutting through him. He'd built his empire to never feel that powerless again, but Sarah's words stripped it bare. "I didn't know you," he said, voice low, urgent. "Not then. It was numbers, not people. He faltered, searching for words. "I was running from something." "From what?" Sarah demanded, stepping closer, her breath ragged. "What could make you do that to us?" He looked at her, his armor cracking. "My mother," he said, voice barely above a whisper. "She died when I was 12. Cancer. We couldn't pay for treatment. I watched her fade, helpless, while the world moved on." His eyes burned, the memory a knife. "I swore I'd never be that boy again. So I built everything, money, power, to make sure of it. But he swallowed, voice breaking. "I became the one who left people like you behind." Sarah's breath caught, his confession a weight she hadn't expected. His pain was real, etched in the lines of his face, the slump of his shoulders. Her mother's voice, "Forgive, but don't forget," guided her words. "You didn't just leave us," she said, voice softer but piercing. "You broke us. Noah almost died because I couldn't afford his medicine. Because of you." Alex flinched, her words a lash. Her fight showed him the man he had buried, one who could still change. "I'm sorry," he said, raw. "I didn't see you then. I'll try, funding the clinic fully, with you." He'd fund the clinic fully, a first step. The foundation's first clinic open, serving dozens, a step toward amends Alex hadn't foreseen. Noah's anticonvulsants held, though side effects lingered, a constant worry. Sarah's hands unclenched, her anger ebbing into exhaustion. His apology was a crack in the wall between them, but it didn't erase the ruin. "Seeing me now doesn't fix it," she said, voice quiet, heavy with truth. "You can't just pay for Noah and call it even." He nodded, his gaze dropping to the floor, her crumpled paper at his feet. "I know," he said, voice low, "but I want to try." His eyes met hers, earnest, haunted. "Not for me, for you, for him." Sarah looked at Noah's door, her heart torn. His small form, safe for now, was her world. Alex's money had saved him, but his choices had endangered him. Yet his confession, raw, unguarded, shifted something. He wasn't the faceless billionaire anymore. He was a man carrying a wound like hers, a boy who'd lost his mother to a world that didn't care. Her resentment flared, but beneath it, a flicker of understanding grew, fragile as a reed in the wind. "I don't trust you," she said finally, voice steady but soft. "But I see you too." Her words hung between them, a bridge built of shared pain, unsteady but real. She turned back to Noah's room, her steps slow, leaving Alex in the hall. He stood motionless, her words echoing. "I see you." He'd sought redemption through her, a way to erase his mother's ghost by saving Noah. But Sarah's truth showed him something else, his empire, his ruthlessness. had built a world that broke people like her. Like his mother, redemption wasn't in grand gestures, but in facing the man he'd become, a man who'd lost himself to the power he'd craved. The hospital's hum faded, and for the first time, Alex felt the weight of what he'd sought and what he'd found instead. A truth that led not to absolution, but to a reckoning as quiet and unyielding as a village stream. Machines thrummed softly, a fragile pulse in the hospital room. Sarah Jenkins sat by Noah's bed, her brown eyes tracing his small, flushed face. Another fever had struck, his epilepsy flaring, a fragile lifeline. Her hand held his, her heart raw from weeks of silence since her confrontation with Alex Vance. His confession, his mother's death, his guilt, had cracked her anger. But the media's lies and her layoffs wound kept her distant. Her silence, once a shield, had guarded Noah but cost her peace. Now she chose trust. She whispered to Noah, "You're my fighter," her voice a thread of hope. Footsteps broke the quiet. Alex stood at the door, his tailored coat gone, his gray eyes weary but resolute. Sarah's breath caught, her body tensing. "What are you doing here?" she asked, voice low, edged with exhaustion. "I heard about Noah," Alex said, stepping inside, his voice soft but steady. "I couldn't stay away." His gaze flicked to the boy, then back to her, raw with something unspoken. "I'm sorry, Sarah, for running, for the layoffs, the pain I caused. I didn't see you then, but I do now." Her eyes narrowed, the memory of Vance Capital's layoffs, her life upended, stinging fresh. But his face, stripped of its billionaire mask, held a boy's grief, the same she'd seen in the rain-soaked night they'd met. "Sorry doesn't fix it," she said, voice trembling. "You broke us." "I know," he said, voice breaking, hands unclenching. "I built a world that hurt people like you, like my mom. I thought money was enough, but it's not." He stepped closer, eyes locked on hers. "I see you now. I want to make it right." Alex saw his mother's hope in Sarah's eyes, a call to be the man he'd buried. Sarah's throat tightened, his words piercing the wall she'd built. Noah stirred, murmuring, and her gaze softened, torn between her son and the man before her. Her mother's lessons, "See the heart, forgive, but don't forget," echoed, guiding her. "Why now?" she whispered, searching his face. "Because you showed me," he said, voice raw. "Your fight, your heart, it's what I lost." He reached for her hand, hesitant, then stopped, respecting her space. "Let me help, not for me, for Noah, for you." Her fingers twitched, his sincerity a warmth against her pain. She saw it now, in his trembling hands, his haunted eyes. She nodded, a small gesture, heavy with trust. "Okay," she said, voice barely audible, their hands brushing, a quiet clasp born of shared wounds. Weeks later, at the foundation, Sarah shared Noah's first smile, Alex his mother's laugh, their vulnerabilities weaving trust. A foundation press release, Sarah's words at its heart, reframed their story as one of shared purpose, silencing the gossip. Alex's choice to rehire workers echoed his vow to Sarah, a small amends. Sarah, her mother's lessons, "Forgive but don't forget," shaping the foundation's mission, her legacy, its heartbeat. Years passed, and a small house glowed under a summer dusk. Sarah, her hair loose, laughed as Noah, now 6, his epilepsy managed, chased fireflies. Alex, her husband, watched from the porch, his arm around her, his gray eyes soft. Their wedding, simple and quiet, had been a promise, not an end. The New Beginnings Foundation thrived, its reach growing, each life touched a step toward healing. Sarah's hand rested on Alex's, her heart fuller. They didn't speak of the rain-soaked night, the layoffs, or the media's lies. Those scars remained, faint but real, like lines on a village stream's bank. Instead, they shared glances, Noah's giggles, the weight of hands clasped in silence. Healing wasn't complete. Sarah still woke to fears for Noah, Alex to his mother's ghost. But it was enough. Their family, forged in pain, stood strong, a tender dawn breaking over a world they'd vowed to mend. As Noah ran to them, his small arms wide, Sarah and Alex knelt, catching him in a hug. The fireflies danced, fleeting sparks in the twilight, and Sarah's eyes met Alex's, a quiet understanding passing between them. No words were needed, no grand gestures. Their love, their purpose was a breath of peace, steady as a stream flowing gently on, carrying their shared light into the night. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that hope can be found in the most surprising moments, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Heartwarming Love Story. We bring you stories that touch the soul, renew your belief in kindness, and highlight what's truly important in life.